Hi, welcome to Soundings with Sash. Welcome. I wasn't going to do a live stream this evening, but I have a special guest with me tonight. He's in town to visit me, and we were talking about some things, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about some relationship things around the holidays, since it is the holidays. And I would like to get his insight, and I would like to get your insight. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please put them in the comments below. Please share this stream, and I appreciate you all watching. And how are you doing this evening? And this is Matthew. Say hi.
Hello, I am Matthew.
So he's my son, and I thought it'd be neat just to get that mother-son perspective on some topics. And so he agreed to come on with me, which I'm kind of surprised about because I've always thought of him as my shyer, more introverted son. But as I've gotten to talk with him this trip and the holiday season, he's telling me otherwise. And I want to talk about that. So Matthew, mother son wise, when we were talking earlier, and I had an idea of what I thought you were like, because I'm kind of still looking at you as the younger version of you, but now at the older version, the younger version, you were introverted. Now you're a bit extroverted. So was that something maybe I put on you, or do you think you were always that way?
No, I mean, I think that through, my experiences and, where I'm at today versus, when I was younger, obviously, after I moved out of the house, I went on to have my own experiences. And through that, you learn how to have to be more extroverted, especially, in your career or, whatever you're doing in life. You kind of have to, navigate that a little more than obviously when I was around you as either a young teenager or whatever. Mm-hmm. I could just be like, hey, mom, do that for me. Go, I need to go to the doctor. Can you make my appointment? Like stuff like that. Where when you get older. I hope
that you didn't have to ask me.
Well, I don't think I ever asked you, but you were just like, you need to go to the doctor. And I'm like, well, I'm not. And you're like, fine, I'm going to make an appointment for you. You need to go. Like, I remember one time specifically, I had done something at work and I was still living at home at the time. And I came home and I was like, it's no big deal. I don't need. And you're like, go to the doctor. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And you're like, I'm going to set you up an appointment, and kind of like force me into that. But I mean, I'm still the doctor in me. It's not.
Yeah, don't like the doctor. No. Still don't like the doctor. He still doesn't like the doctor. I didn't like the doctor with you when they shoved that vaccine in your leg the one time. That was like way long ago.
Yeah, I don't have any recollection of that.
So. I'm really glad he doesn't. Hey, JMC. Too troublesome too. Welcome. So we're talking about family relationships kind of around this time. So what do you think? How has it changed for you as far as the holidays go?
Like
as you've gotten older.
I mean, obviously, anybody, as you grow up, you kind of realize where, the gifts and all that stuff is less important. I remember when I first, got my job, and it was like the first Christmas, I was like making my own money. And, I was excited because I was finally able to buy everybody a gift. Like, I knew I had my own money. I was going to go out and do my shopping on my own and buy everyone gifts. And I remember spending a bunch of money, and, it was nice. I was happy to be able to do that. But as I've gotten older, I've actually learned more. Like that whole idea of like having to find the perfect gift for everybody, it stresses me out personally. It's not something I enjoy doing anymore.
I remember.
Yes. It's just more stressful than anything. So now I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather just spend time. And as you get older, you realize that's the most important part of it, is spending the time with your family rather than
That's right.
about the gifts. It's not about that.
Right.
And I mean, I always knew you always did a good job of, teaching that lesson to us growing up. But of course, your first time having money, you want to be able to, give back to your parents and everybody else and buy something for them, of course.
That's really nice. Yeah. So, see, family is quite a complex topic, right? Hi, Kathy. Yes. That's why I'm having a real conversation. We didn't prep any questions. I didn't prep him for any questions because, I'm going to be just as surprised at what he says as you all are.
That might not be the best thing.
So it could be, or it could not be.
It could go either way.
So see, that's the funny part is like when you're growing up, and I'm talking about Christmas especially, is as a parent, you're always wanting to buy your kids, maybe the newest thing out or the best thing out. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious, and I'm going to ask you, out of your whole childhood, is there a gift that you remember getting that meant the most to you?
There's not very many gifts specifically that I remember.
Mm-hmm. I mean, or Christmases, yeah.
And it kind of does blend together. Like, I mean, there's none of them that like stand out too much. Obviously, I remember specifically, when we got bikes for Christmas, like that was a big gift. I remember when we got BB guns, of course, that was a big gift. That was, something that,
Yes. And
it was a big deal.
Of course, no one knows the backstory on the BB guns and how opposed someone might have been about those gifts.
Well,
right?
And I think that kind of played into more of the surprise for me and my brother, because we knew that you were not for it at all. So when we opened up those presents and we got the BB guns, we were like super excited because we were like not expecting it whatsoever, because we knew you were not about us.
Because I was the mother in the Christmas Carol where she's going, you're gonna
shoot your eye out.
You're gonna put your eye out. Yeah, I was not about that gift, but I let that. I'm not going to say I let that happen, but I gave in, I guess, at some point.
I think part of it having to do with, I mean, of course, obviously us growing up, as a military family, there were a couple, I don't remember them being a lot of them, but I know there was probably more than one Christmas where Dad wasn't home. So like if that was his thing he wanted to do for us to make it a memorable Christmas, like I'm sure you were like, I don't really like it, but they're going to remember this. And, obviously they'll remember this over the, some of the Christmases you might not have been there, which I don't remember too many of them. I remember one specifically because I know it's the same Christmas that I got that teddy bear from Miss Jeanette across the street that I still have. And I was letting Olivia play with the other day. It's this brown bear. I got a brown one and my brother got a tan one. And I just remember it was one of the Christmases that Dad wasn't there. And, she brought us those gifts. And I still have it to this day.
Yeah. As a military family, I don't know if any of you are military children or spouses, but that can be almost as stressful because now you're having to make up for two parents, and even single parents. I'm sure you guys understand this as well. You're just wanting to make, and I've seen it go both ways, that people get really materialistic sometimes because they're single parents and they just want to give their kids everything, or maybe they can't and they feel like, oh, my children are not gonna, like what I've got them because I can't get them, what I'd really like to get them or what they really want. Well, but as you can tell, he doesn't even remember. He probably doesn't even remember what was on his Christmas list. So
I can tell you right now, I don't remember a single thing that was ever on any of my Christmas lists other than, in the last couple of years as an adult, because it's like one item or two things that I'm just like, hey.
You know what he wants this year? Towels. He wants towels. See how exciting. That is not an exciting gift.
Okay, so look, when I moved into my apartment.
Hey, Jen.
I had to furnish an entire apartment. So I'm out trying. I don't want to spend too much money, and there was a couple items I needed, and I went for the cheapest stuff. I went to Ollie's and bought my towels because I'm like, okay, these are kind of nice.
Always give us a royalty. Thanks. Okay.
They're pure cotton towels. I think they're fine until I wash them and I dry them, and then I use them for the first time, and they're just fuzz falling apart everywhere. So every time I take a shower, I have all this towel fuzz. The bottom of my shower I have to rinse out every night. Like,
So Jennifer is saying, I do. Ninja Turtles was one, and those Matchbox cars.
oh yes,
See, Jennifer.
Okay, yeah.
Jennifer is my niece.
Yes, the micro machines.
Oh my gosh.
The micro machines was definitely. I still have one of them. I still have one of the micro machines.
Santa took a long time to put those dumb stickers on that thing. Santa had a hard time with those stickers on the micro machine cities. Just saying. Santa, Sandy Claus, might have thought that was difficult, possibly.
Yeah, I can see where that would be time consuming.
So okay. So now that you're older, and now you have your own daughter, what is a piece? Do you remember any advice that I gave you?
Well, as
I'm asking him, I'm going right for I'm just going right for it.
As I'm pretty sure most people know, I don't follow advice very well.
Understatement. No, just kidding.
Yes, this has been a theme. I have to learn on my own. I have to learn the hard way. And I'm just now figuring out how to do that less. I'm starting to be able to maybe take a little advice from some people. My family.
Some people that might be related or might not, Funny. You're funny. Yes, we're sorry. We're having adult beverages. So cheers if you have an adult beverage. So let's see. He's behaving and no cussing so far.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you.
So, okay. So I was just wondering if you had any, no advice. You took no advice from me. I already know the answer, by the way. I'm not asking it. It's not a trick question. Not really. But
nothing stands out.
Nothing I've told him ever.
I just
like he's in his later 20s, people. So I'm just saying that tells you something. But you know what? Here's the thing as a parent is I'm not offended that you didn't, but I think that you have, and you just don't know it.
Yes, subconsciously, I'm sure I've retained things, but nothing stands out as like something you might have said or discussed with me.
So
it might, obviously it's probably more subconscious. It's more through the way or the way we grew up, just kind of repeating some of those things. And maybe there were some things that I subconsciously remember that might want to do differently. I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but I might have a different idea on how to do certain things. And everybody, no child is the same as another, and there's no right way to raise a child. It's just what you see best. I mean, I remember not that long, when you were in town or whatever, and I was like, no, don't give her that watermelon, I don't want her to have that yet. And I had to be like, no, stop, don't do that. As her parent, I'm gonna have my own ideas of what I see fit, no matter what. And the one of the biggest things I've learned from watching other people in other circumstances I've been in or around or whatever is for one, I think is a really big thing is grandparents respecting parents' wishes is huge. And that's something I think needs to be, because of course, like as a grandparent, you want to spoil the kids, do whatever, and you have your own ideas on how, you're like, oh, I raised you and you came out okay, but that's okay to.
And I haven't
to,
said that to
no,
him
no, no.
yet, people. Just
No,
saying,
you haven't.
I have
I'm not.
not.
I'm not. This is not specifically. This is
Just
not.
letting you know, I haven't told him that yet.
This is not anything
Yet.
targeted towards anybody, but
Right.
it's something that's been relevant on things
It
I've
is
seen
relevant.
in certain ways, and I think it's really important because I've seen a lot of times where it causes issues in a family when
It does.
grandparents don't respect parents' boundaries a lot.
Right. But don't you agree? I mean, putting the boundaries up to start is
Yes,
helpful.
definitely.
So I hope that I've shown you
No,
that.
and I agree. Like I don't there's not like any time, but like I know that the communication between me and you is good enough to where if there's something I don't like, I can come to you and be like, hey, look, can you like
Right.
whatever, and you'll respect that, and you'll just, it won't be an argument. But not everybody has that relationship with their parents.
That's right. They don't. And so and that can be difficult.
It's very difficult.
I feel like we're lucky because we do have that kind of relationship. But I had something happen, not too long ago where I kind of questioned, like, wow, what if my relationship with my adult child, went wrong and I couldn't contact them or be in communication with them because, it crossed my mind. I was like, wow, I've never thought about that before. I never really had a reason to think about it until this situation happened. And I thought, well, what if that child of mine it cuts me off and I don't have communication? What would that be like? How could I deal with that? And that would be very difficult. And I know some of you out there probably have that strained relationship. And that's what, it just didn't cross my mind because I've never had that relationship where I've cut off a parent or a child. So I know that can be difficult. And anyway, any of you on here, if you have that situation, I know that can be difficult. I mean, it was the first time that it crossed my mind that could happen. And it made me very sad and very like, and I thought, well, one, I'm the type that I was thinking, well, I'm upset, let it cool off, let it calm down, and then come back around and let's discuss it and talk about the situation or whatever it was. And I waited a bit and I was happily surprised that, I didn't have to. See, Heather has that situation. I cut off my dad and it sucks. Yeah.
I mean,
hi,
Patty. I had a period of time where I had a situation where I felt distant. I not, not by choice, but I kind of had some things going on, and I kind of, pulled myself away for a little while, and ultimately, luckily for me, I realized like, hey, no matter what, I can be upset about things, but at the end of the day, I want to be, with my family, and I don't want anything to ruin that, and I'm not going to. And I've handled things in not the best manner at times as well. So like I have to take my own fault for some of that as well. In a lot of circumstances, there's always worries and concerns, but sometimes you let them overshadow what's really going on in your life.
Right.
And it's hard because you take away from yourself when you do that.
Right.
Rather than facing it head on, get it over with, have those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations you don't want to have.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way early, because waiting on it and letting it, fester is the worst thing you can do. and it only makes things harder when it finally comes time.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, things have gone along, and then you wait longer and longer and longer. You're like, okay, well, there is no good time now. Well, there never was a good time, but had you
Right.
gotten it out of the way ahead of time, you wouldn't be feeling the way you do now.
Right.
That relief would be there. It wouldn't be months and months of that worry.
Right.
So,
Well, so we come from a split family. When I mean that, a divorced family, and it's really difficult from my perspective as the other parent to see a strained relationship, even with that person. It was difficult, but I had to step out of it and go, okay, that's not
yeah.
something I need to even speak into. I don't need to tell him what to do. I don't need to tell. I wasn't even at a place of wanting to give any advice because it didn't feel like it was my place in any way. And I kind of felt that way.
And I think it was better that way because, for one, I was already frustrated with the situation. Any advice or anything, I knew it was something I had to handle on my own. And, with me having to handle it on my own, like getting any advice would have just stressed me out even more. Right. Because I knew what I had to do. There was no advice that anybody could have given me that would have been different from what I already knew anyways. Right. It was just the time I needed to handle it. And, I probably took longer than I should have, but in the end, things finally...
Forgiveness is
exactly.
Is forgiveness.
And where I am right now with everything, I knew what the outcome would be. I had an idea, and now things are the way they should be, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So, and this Christmas will be Olivia's first Christmas, and
and it'll be a happy one.
It will be great.
And I have a granddaughter, and I'm really excited about that, though I'm not going to be there to be present, and that's difficult.
Yeah.
And missing the first Christmas it's difficult,
Yeah, the milestones.
Yes.
But, the thing is, luckily, she's not going to remember that you weren't there.
Right.
For you, and just like a lot of first, and I've realized this, like first birthday, first Christmas, all that stuff's for the parents. The baby's going to do
baby is still going to be the baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to go, oh, I'm one. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I couldn't even tell you at what age I started remembering anything.
Right.
And I know it wasn't one.
Yeah.
Or before. It was
definitely 3. You really remember from 3 on. I know this because I remember him telling me all the things he remembers when he was 3. So.
Like what? What?
Well, back then you did.
Yeah, I've had to cram a lot more into this brain since then. So
yes.
I might have had to let some things.
So now that you have your own daughter, and of course I have you and your brother, and parents go through this guilt thing a lot. So it's something that you don't understand yet because she's still young, but after you've raised them for so long, and when they're finally adults, unfortunately parents put a lot of pressure on themselves on what they think they should have done, and also how they think that they should have helped you, to become whatever that is.
Yeah.
So there's a huge gap between reality of that and, our perception of that. So.
Well, and so I understand. I get where you're coming from, because yes, there might be a guilt, like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have handled this differently, or like, oh my God, I put my child through this. It's like, okay, no matter what, life happens. Everybody has different experiences, but you can't, no matter what, you cannot blame everything that happens in your child's life on what you did as a parent of them growing up, because there's people that grew up in the best households that went on to do terrible things and vice versa, whatever. Some people that were raised in the worst circumstances. It all comes down to like how you become an adult and like you make your own decisions at that point. Yes, I do think your raising and upbringing definitely, kind of help mold you into what path you may go down or the other. But at the same time, you don't know that. Like giving them the values, it's whether they decide to absorb that or, work on that or not.
Right.
So like there's so many factors that are out of your control that you can only control this little portion of what you can, and you hope you did the best that you can. But after that, there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, let's talk about a really touchy subject then, if you're willing to go down this road. He's hold on, I need a drink on that. So sorry, I don't. One little glass of wine. But anyhow,
I'm kind of
so guilt wise for me would be divorce. Like divorce, that divorce time.
Well, and I'm sure
is
that
like the most. I have to say that I still, and I don't know if you guys are out here and if you're divorced parents or whatever, I still have that guilt. Like I still do sometimes. I still look at you guys and go, oh, maybe I should have done that. Or,
you've probably asked me that question like more times than I can count.
Really?
Yes, you always. Well, not. So I can tell that it's definitely been something that you have felt guilty about. You've expressed this more than one time. And every time my answer is the same. At the time when you're that age, of course you're going to be upset about it.
And you guys were 12. No,
yes, I was
12 and 14.
No.
So
I remember specifically because I was in 5th grade.
Oh, then you were
10.
10. Sorry.
So I was like
12.
10 going on 11 because I remember it was like the end, like closer to the end of the school year.
Right.
So what I was saying is, at that time, as a child, of course, no one wants their parents to divorce. And like, you don't think of it in any other way. You're like, oh, this sucks. But when you get older, you realize all the things that were wrong in that relationship. And then you realize like, wow, okay, this was probably better.
Right.
That they divorced.
Well, at least you are recognizing. How long did that take? When did you have that realization?
I was still a teenager when I realized that. I was in high school when I really like thought back on things and stuff that I remember, and really thought to myself like, hey, like obviously I was upset about it, but like nothing's wrong with my life now. It's not affecting me negatively in any way other than the fact I had to move. I was upset about that. At that age. But after we moved and I'd been in high school a couple years, like I was like, okay, this is just my life now. It didn't negatively affect me in any way.
Right.
I don't think, because I was still happy. I was doing whatever. I still had both my parents.
Right.
So, and
we
I thought of it in this way, like I was like, hey, Dad's in a healthy relationship, you're in a healthier relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Like you said.
I mean, Heather's also, they also see me happier. That makes them happier. Yeah, she had the guilt as well. I mean, I think I don't know if it's a male female thing. I'm not sure. If you're a male on here and you have that guilt, let me know, because I don't know if it's just a mother thing or what.
And in my circumstance, I already have felt the guilt of like, okay, my daughters never gonna see her parents together as a couple. And that, it sucks. But I know that she's gonna see me happier in the long run, and I'll be a better father to her because of it. Because I won't be unhappy and I won't be dealing with certain things that are gonna affect, just
Yeah.
my overall, happiness and demeanor and everything else. Because not that I would ever take something out on my daughter, but if I'm frustrated or irritated because I'm not happy in a relationship, then some of those things could possibly,
Right. Well, that's
make,
moving on to the next subject we're going to talk about. He's like, oh God, what did I get myself into? My mom is going to kill me on here.
Yeah.
So, male, what'd you say? Maybe it's, just as the one who chooses to leave. Maybe that is true. I think that you're right. I think you're right.
That's
I agree.
Definitely.
I agree.
More,
it's who
so.
the person that decides the divorce, I think, is the one that has the more maybe guilt, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I think because obviously, whoever decides, the other can argue, well, I wanted to,
I didn't want to.
I didn't want to,
Right.
or, I would have stayed. And
Right.
like they might try to put some of that guilt and blame on you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying in every circumstance, but that might be what happens.
Be what it is.
They might
Yes.
be like, well, I would have stayed together for our kids, or, something like that, which that's not fair.
Right.
You can't do that to somebody. If you're unhappy, you're unhappy. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, and actually, there's a relationship coach on here, though. If you need a relationship coach, JMC.
I think I've actually been figuring it out pretty well.
Oh, maybe
now
him. He's the new one.
I've been figuring it out. I'm in a better.
You're figuring it out. Awesome. Good. Then you're going to answer this next
It
question
took me
really
a long
well.
time to figure
I can't wait to hear him answer this next doozy of a question that he's probably going to kill me for. Well, not he is. So, do you think what they say is true, that you pick women that are like your mother?
I personally do not believe that.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I'm sure there might be some truth to that.
Well, that makes me really relieved. Sorry, just kidding. Kind of. No.
In my experience, I don't really think that I've dated anybody that's been like you at all.
No, they're not. That's why I said that. I mean,
there might be some truth to that for some people, but for me, it hasn't been true.
Right.
I don't know where I've gained my taste in women at all, to be honest.
Well, he definitely likes brunettes and not blondes, so he definitely didn't take the blonde thing as his mother.
I don't discriminate. Okay, I don't think I've had.
So Jay says he's there for you if you need a hand, because he's the relationship coach.
Oh yeah.
So he might help you, but I'm only asking that because I have heard that, and all these years I'm going, are my kids like picking women that are like me? Because
so that's something else you've been dealing with as far as feeling guilty about. So yes. I get
oh
this.
My God, so what have I done?
You're thinking that you set us up to go after these type of women, or whatever.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that's the case. Everybody makes their own decisions.
Yes.
And I don't think that I look for anything specifically that is familiar to me within you at all.
Right.
I
see attributes of myself and you with codependency. So
I'm the
Yes, go ahead.
There's a dog outside.
I know, it's Biscuit.
It kind of creeped me out because there's like somebody walking up on your thing. But I think for some reason, You have a guest at the door.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, it's locked.
Yes, go ahead. Keep
Um,
talking. Sorry.
I lost my train of thought.
Go ahead.
But I don't know why, but for some reason I seem to attract dependent women because I don't know, is it I'm too nice? I don't know what it is. I really don't.
Yeah.
I could not give you an answer for that at all.
No.
Because obviously I really wasn't aware of it when I decided that this was somebody that I might be interested in. I didn't really get that deep into it until after the fact.
Right.
So I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about me that gives off a certain vibe. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, that's what when I meant codependent, I meant that you were the codependent one.
Oh, you think I'm the
and right, because when you're a codependent, you attract women that will be okay with you taking care of them and saving them.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah. That's yes.
So that's where I was going with that.
Well, no, that's exactly what I was describing.
Right. And I've had to say to you, listen, Matthew, you don't have to save me if that's what you're trying to do. Like if you're setting up this relationship. She's about to tell you. she's about well, she's about to tell you. Okay, then I definitely need this little blurb here.
Here's the deal.
Okay, that's my little here's the deal thing. So here's the deal. I was about to tell him that he was like me, right? So I wasn't telling him that. I'm not telling you that that's, but that's something that I have probably shown you. Maybe that's you're not picking women like me. You're probably like me and picking women because of the way I was. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, obviously, I don't think, I haven't ever seen you in that I'm aware of. Now I'm aware of a little more than I used to be, but I never saw you, in my opinion, in a codependent relationship. But maybe it was in ways I wasn't aware of. And
well, the question is, was I in a healthy relationship?
Well,
right.
I mean, there's
and there's where guilt comes in, because when you're not in healthy relationships and you're kind of in a toxic situation, and then you have children in the midst, that really is difficult, and your kids don't need. That was one thing that, oh, there we go, Heather. Welcome to Club Codependence. There's a cure. There is a cure. It's called boundaries. And you already talked about boundaries. So it sounds to me like you have figured it out.
And yes, and I know it's very hard for my family and people that care about me and things to actually believe me when I say that, because for so long I said, yeah, I know. And I did know. I knew in my mind.
Well, that's the term of it.
Yes.
Right. You just didn't know.
I knew in my mind that, hey, this is what I need to do, but you don't do that.
Right.
You still fall back into the same ways until you finally break that cycle. And I finally feel like I've done that. And I've really felt liberated because of it.
Awesome.
Like completely.
Man, you figured it out like 20 years sooner than me.
I also spent like 20 years of a lot of crazy in a short amount of time.
Yeah. And as a parent, that's hard to watch your child walk through, because you can't help them.
Oh yeah,
because you're an adult.
Well, and
you can't warn them. You can't warn them. You can't help them, and then you can't bail them out of it
Yeah.
at all.
No.
Like, that doesn't even help. That doesn't even work.
Oh yeah. And I mean, and for me, there was a lot of time because like I knew, and it was a big thing with, it was a big thing with like you and my brother. And like, I knew that you guys were trying to help me out, and, you know, you wanted to talk about things and make sure I was okay and all those type of things. But for me, I wasn't ready to talk about it, or it frustrated me or irritated me. And I would just
disengage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it made me more distant
Hey, Tina.
for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with that, I think, is another it's a good example of how things have changed, because I've been a lot more engaged now that I'm happier, and I can talk about the things that are bothering me, but it's not so much to unload at one time.
Right.
And so I'm okay with, I've it's not that I never wanted to talk to you guys. It just wasn't
right
something I did.
Right.
And I've been a lot more engaged in talking to you and my brother.
Yeah.
And when something comes up, I'll get it off my chest immediately.
Good.
Rather than
that's
letting
good.
it all,
Yeah.
because it was not good for me for a while to do that. And then I didn't want to talk about it because...
Well, and I was always trying to push you to go to professional. So,
I mean...
because professional counseling can help.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to solve it for you either. I wanted you to talk about it to get it off your chest, not to solve it for you. That was the difference. So, in our relationship, what are taboo subjects? Let's talk about that. What are the taboo subjects? Well, okay. So since he's been an adult, I've had a transition, I guess, from married to single.
Yes, that has been a transition for more than just you, for sure. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but
I'm not trying to. Here goes. Now I'm about to get it. Just saying.
Yes, there's a lot that I mean, I don't want to know everything. I don't think I
try to tell you.
No, and you don't.
Thank you.
Yes, and
I know.
Yeah, no. I might get, one or two stories more than I would like, because like as a child, you don't like it's still not something you want to know about. Oh, mom's dating and doing this and that, whatever. You just don't want to know about that. Like the idea of it as a child is just, that's gross.
Well, right. Exactly what she said. Exactly. That's what she said. Absolutely. It's a taboo subject that I don't think is appropriate with mom and son.
I don't think so either. I don't think it's something that you need to discuss. That's your personal life in your relationship, especially as adults go. Like, that's not like, hey, you're an adult. You do your own thing,
right?
And whatever you do is your business.
But what's interesting is that it's not always that way in other families.
Oh no!
In other families, they are like so open about those things, and they talk about those things that you're like, what?
I think there's boundaries in how to talk about them. Obviously, as somebody, as a teenager or whatever, say you have a child that's in their teens, you have to
talk about
talk about it, but you don't have to talk about, their relationship or,
right.
Because you were that age, you have an idea.
Well, you're trying to tell them, hey, do this, do that. Don't do this. Don't do that.
And they're still going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. You never want to know when it comes to, you don't ever want to know that.
No.
And as a child, that maybe wasn't in a household that had those same boundaries, that was difficult.
And I'm sure there's a lot of
Yeah.
sure there's some difficulties that come from being in a household that's so open. If
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's more, it's just too much information. Like
It's
that's
TMI. It is
yeah,
TMI.
it's
And I've always felt that way. I've always been, yeah. So boundaries are really important even at our age.
oh yeah,
Even as you get older.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a subject
Yeah, and-
between but that's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, put it in the comments. I'm curious if you do have that different opinion. But
and
yeah.
I mean, yeah, with your family, obviously you want to be open. You want to be able to come to your family.
I mean, I don't mind the
anything.
occasional funny joke.
Yeah,
like a joke that's not about you and like off color maybe is okay.
Yeah, but
if that's in your wheelhouse of a household, but
yeah,
even I'm not that open to
I
that.
mean, yeah, I mean, it's
so that just is your preference as people. So okay, so wow, we're hitting we're talking about the heavy hitters, aren't we? This is not going to be I know. He's going, what does she talk me into now? Yes. So there you are, Tina. You building boundaries every day. That's awesome. So
and I've had to. I mean,
yeah,
that's what I've had to learn. As I know this episode or whatever is supposed to be about family boundaries, but or family and talking about things, and but I'm been learning boundaries every day in everything. I mean, I was talking to Grandpa earlier about me with my job, and like just me taking this vacation has been something that a couple of years ago I would have never done.
Right.
I'm in the middle of starting we're getting ready to start a job. One that I've never done before. And it's a large job and I have a lot of responsibility and we're getting ready to start it. So like, I felt like it was a good break, but you know what? I have realized like, when am I going to get this chance again? Like, why not? I have the vacation time. I have the PTO to do it, and it's the holidays.
Right.
So I don't need to feel guilty.
Right.
Because my company will be just fine without me for a week.
Yeah. So question because of coronavirus this year, how has this year been for you? Like personally, it's
been kind of rough.
Right. I mean, do you feel like this is an unprecedented kind of thing, or?
I think there's been a lot of different things, and like for me, a lot of things have happened in a short amount of time. With the birth of Olivia, and then me moving,
right.
And this is the first time I've had my own apartment on my own, without roommates and such.
Yeah.
And partners and I love it. So there's been good things and bad things at the same time, obviously with COVID and everything. Having a infant child born during a time where there's a pandemic is difficult.
Yeah.
You have to decide like, okay, well, as far as bringing her around people, you don't want large gatherings or anything like that. And then travel wise, those type of things, it's been kind of difficult, right. And then like, also, I have my, friends and family or whatever. And of course, I want to introduce my daughter to everybody.
Right. But you couldn't.
But I couldn't do that,
That's weird. It is weird how this all worked out. And Heather, thank you for your comment about the daughters. I wondered how it was with daughters. I didn't know if mothers and daughters were okay with talking about the same things, but this year has brought a challenge. But what do you think has really showed you, like in your values and principles? I mean, what has it showed you this year?
Honestly, so obviously when Olivia was born, so that's huge. It's a
Right.
huge thing,
Yeah.
for my values and whatnot. Um, Before, I would any travel trip, send me. I'm
Right.
fine with that.
Right.
I've explained to my boss, and I think he's kind of understanding. I don't want to completely quit traveling altogether.
Right.
That's never going to be me. I'm not ever going to want to completely quit
He's lucky he gets to go
traveling.
around the world.
But
Yeah.
I've definitely decided that no, do I want to be gone for 9 months? No. That's a large portion of time, at least this early on in her life.
Right.
Where all the milestones are being made and we're building this relationship. Obviously maybe once she gets older and it's stronger and she can understand, hey, dad might be going away, on a travel trip or whatever, or even, in the circumstance where it's like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii, let me fly my daughter out for a week or two.
Yeah.
Or something like that, where
that would be nice.
But, right now
you can fly your mom out too.
Yeah.
He can fly his mom out. I'm just saying.
But, with that whole thing, that's been a big thing. I moved in on my own, and there's been one of the biggest things. I mean, obviously everybody's kind of dealing with the whole, everything's, on the internet, everything's social distanced, and we've been realizing how many things can be done remotely.
Right.
And have worked a lot better. And like my biggest thing that I can say, my biggest silver lining from this whole experience that I've taken away is I've gotten into more of a routine of, like the FaceTime or, the video chatting and just reaching out to people through different avenues that I wasn't doing as much before. Like I know that, like, I'd be out of town or out of the country or whatever, and you probably want to hear from me for a long time and
ever.
But so I got a lot more.
Is that mom guilt right there?
I got a lot more familiar with using, my phone or like being on video chat and stuff like that, just to my friends, because none of us were hanging out together at all. So it kind of started in that kind of realm where we're just like, we're all sitting at home, we're bored. So, hey, like, let's play some video games together. Then, it's like, hey, let's video chat with each other or whatever, which led to me like, hey, let me reach out to my brother. Let me reach out to my mom. And now the communication from afar has become a normal part of my everyday life, or like, and it's more, normal. It's routine to me.
Right.
So it's caused me to, reach out to you and my brother a lot more.
Yeah.
And
also your friends started a podcast, right?
Yeah, so they started that well before. It's been over a year now. I think they've been doing the podcast.
Oh, they've been doing a year.
Yeah, they've been doing it over a year.
What's it called again?
It's called The Good Times Are Killing Us.
The Good Times Are Killing Us, and it's his age group and his friend group. And what do you guys talk about?
So I won't say it's our age group.
Okay.
Because there's so many different topics, you really can't put an age group on it.
But I mean, it's your age group speaking about
it.
Yes.
That's
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so they have some actual, like, other than your friends. Obviously, when your friends are the ones, following and listen to your podcast, that's always cool. You always love the support from friends and family. But, they've started to gather a following, like, outside their friend group. Like, they have one guy, I'm not positive where he's from, but he's like in his like 40s, late 40s, early 50s, and he does a review on their podcast every episode.
Oh, that's great.
And so, like, he just stumbled upon them and he was like, these guys are great. They do the topics they do are really well researched, and sprinkled in with some funny moments and stuff like that.
So you're saying that you're feeling more connected because of this.
Yeah.
Whereas I've read, other articles that are saying that people are feeling isolated and alone, and what would you suggest to, I mean, have you seen any of those people?
Okay, well,
do you know any of those people?
So I would say for a little while I did feel that way.
Right.
I mean, I had a portion of time, especially when I first moved in. For one thing, moving by myself with no help whatsoever.
Because nobody wanted to be around
anybody because of COVID.
Yeah. Moving during the pandemic.
It was not fun. And just there was a lot of different emotions at one time. So like there was a portion of time where I really felt, alone. I couldn't go, hang out with anybody, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what kind of like pushed me in the direction of like, we all decided to get together. We would talk on, video chat, and we started playing video games, just something to keep our mind off of stuff,
Right.
And then also another thing for me that was hard that put me in that kind of, more disconnected, mindset was at work. We were kind of in between jobs. There wasn't a whole lot going on. Like everybody was trying to feel everything out.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't quite as busy as at work either. So I didn't have that to take my mind off of anything.
Right.
And I would come home early from work or, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't as busy. As far as that was concerned. And I've always put so much into my job,
mm-hmm.
And it made me feel productive. So I felt so unproductive at that time as well.
Right.
And it made me, not really do a lot of the things that I normally would. Like I was just very
you were just
complacent
being,
and
right.
And for a long time. And I think that's part of when I realized that I need to stop putting so much thought into my job as something that is there, to keep me busy and that brings me.
What's your generation called? Millennials?
Millennials, yes.
You're millennials.
Yes,
but like that's what your generation is
called,
right?
Yeah, we're millennials, yes.
So what I've seen, my observation of your generation is you guys are way different than us. Like we had like almost like a template that we followed, right?
Yeah.
So like our template was, graduate and go to college or not, or find whatever job and whatever your niche was, fine. But your goal was to still get married, have children, get the house, get the car, do the things, and accumulate all the things.
Yeah.
So what is your generation? What is your
okay.
I mean, what do you see as what?
So I think the mold has been broken a little bit because, I do feel like those things aren't so important to us in our generation. For me, I mean, like my I don't care about the marriage thing and all that. I wasn't really like, hey, I need to have a kid and be married by a certain age. Like that never really crossed my mind, at all. I was just like, if it happens, it happens. It's not something that I don't want, but like.
So as a principle, that was just off the table?
It wasn't off the table. It was just, I was, for me personally, I was more focused on my career, more than anything. When I graduated, I really didn't have any idea what I was going to do, really, because I knew like school wasn't. I know. I didn't like school.
Yeah, he was the one that said to me, "Mom, I'm not going to college. I'm not going to go to college. I'm not going to do that college thing."
I never.
And it's difficult. Well, it's difficult to hear you say that marriage is not a principle.
I'm not saying it's not a principle.
I mean, it's difficult as from me who feels guilty. If you think about it, what we were just talking about, it's kind of hard for me to hear you say that that's off the table when I'm feeling guilty that I did, so if I were still feeling guilty, which I'm not, by the way, I've let myself off the hook. I've forgiven myself. I'm past it. But you saying that makes, if I were still in that place, I'd be like, see, me getting divorced, it's my fault that he feels this way.
No.
So like that whole guilt thing can come back at me.
For me personally, and I think this is why, is because, for one, my biggest goal for the last, I can't tell you how many years, has been to buy a house. I mean, that's been number one on my priority list for the longest time.
Right.
I wasn't thinking about, getting married or any. I'm like, I want to have that. I want to have my own place in my own, house and whatnot. And then I can worry about that other stuff afterwards.
And what did you figure out? That it doesn't work like that, right?
Well, yes, unexpected circumstances come up.
Things don't.
So now my reasoning behind wanting my own house has changed, but the goal hasn't.
Right.
The goal hasn't changed at all. That's I'm closer than I've ever been to making that happen, and so it's just gonna take a little bit of me.
We're almost running out of time here. I have one big question for you,
okay,
which I'm sure you'll know why. But as far as faith-wise, and I know that I raised you faith-based, and I know that this generation is really different about their faith. They're either really strong in it or they're not at all, or they're reaching out to other things. I mean, what are you seeing in that? And
okay, so I think I have a very, I don't want to say it's like broad, and I've had these conversations, it's not that we still have these conversations about faith. Like, it's not completely like thrown to the wayside. I've had these conversations with plenty of my friends. Mm-hmm. I just think that the traditional idea of it is a lot more, it seems antiquated at this point, because there's a lot of issues with it. There's a lot of issues with your traditional, I think there's a lot of issues with the traditional, I want to say ritualistic type of religions.
Right.
So, and I mean, I loved going to Christmas Mass growing up and stuff like that. Like, I enjoyed that. I just have a different viewpoint on it now. It's just like, I don't think that kind of stuff, like the whole repetitiveness and whatever is the point.
Okay.
I feel like, when it comes down to it, be a good person. It doesn't matter. So much.
I mean, I know this was a hard question for me to ask you, because you're on the fence of, I'm going to tell her what I think, and then I want to tell her what I think she wants to hear. No, you kind of know what I want to hear.
I know what
that's
you
the
want
problem,
to hear.
But that is hard. It's like, because you, as a parent, you go, okay, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong in teaching them faith principles even? So, I mean, I struggle with that. I mean, I have to be honest in that, but you have seen me, go from ultra
extreme to
charismatic to, whatever, you're talking about Christmas Mass. We did more, we did more non-denominational church services than we did Christmas Mass.
I know. I just remember that being I remember when I was a lot younger. Yeah, I enjoyed the dressing up and going to Christmas Mass and that whole thing. Yeah. I didn't enjoy the Mass itself. It was boring as hell. I mean, sorry.
It was pretty. What do you mean?
If anybody's been to a Catholic
Okay, don't generalize.
Okay, but it's not
So
as
this
a
is some real
child.
talk. This
As
is
a
real talk.
child, it's
This is real talk.
a little.
Well, it's hard for
long.
me because it's like I want you to feel, as a parent, you want your child or children to feel the same way about their central faith base the same. Like you really hope that you instilled that in like,
but
as a Jesus follower that I am, it's like I want you to go, well, yeah, I still can connect with Jesus. And now you're kind of saying, I don't really connect with that. And so it's hard. And I'm just being real. This is a real talk. This is not,
exactly.
fluffy.
And just as from your experience, and you've explained, that to us growing up, what your experiences were as far as religion goes and things of that nature. You already know the answer, that we're gonna choose what we choose, no matter what you want, or what you brought us up.
See,
with
being a
what
good
values.
Parent is hard.
Yeah, because you explained that to us. And
I know. I explained it really well, too well. Why didn't I just make you into a cookie cutter? Gosh,
right? Yeah.
What was wrong with me?
Yeah, why did you grow?
Why did I give you a free will mind? I don't get it.
Why did you let us have our own ideas?
Yeah,
and thoughts?
What is wrong with me? Why didn't I just tell you what to think? Gosh. Right? So that is where I struggle.
I know. I know.
I struggle with that because I'm like, I want them to feel this way. But like anyone in their faith walk, and I'm going to say that to our audience, anyone in their own faith walk, it's your own faith walk.
Exactly.
No one else can have the same exact journey as you and faith walk. They're just not going to. But what I hope that I always loved Jesus, and I always tried to teach the love of Jesus. At least I thought I would try to, and, with your family, it's difficult.
Yeah.
With your own family, because they see you as the real, right?
Yeah.
They can see it like, okay, mom, you're yelling and screaming at the driver in front of you, go and get out of the way, that person, and this and that, and then turn around and they see you at church and you're going, hi, how are you? Right? Yeah. Like, so that's me. This is real talk, I mean, that's difficult because, I'm always striving for that faith too, like, so we all have our own faith walk, and we hope that we, leave that to our children, that they follow the same path. But like you said, I could teach you all of those things, but you're going to still follow your own path.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm not judgmental towards you guys. I try not to be, churchy and religious, speaking, and you've seen me fall.
Yeah. And I don't feel that you are like trying to push anything. Like, obviously you would like, certain things, and we know that. We understand that, and we know that.
Yeah.
But I don't ever feel judged by it, or pushed. I don't feel it pushed on me in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, we'll figure it out on our own.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll just love you through it, no matter what, and you'll love me through whatever journey. Exactly. I hope. So anyway, our time is up, but thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thanks for hanging in there if you hung in, and Heather, thank you for your comments, and all of you, Tina, Jason, and everyone. It's been a journey. Parenting is a journey, and you're just getting to the beginning of it. I'm so excited. Yeah. And as a grandparent, I'm gonna sit back, and I'm going to let you make your mistakes. I'm going to let you do what you need to do, because
hopefully my mistakes are not very many, but I know I'm going to make some no matter what.
Right. Because you don't know what lies ahead, but that's why you got to
You just
hopefully.
got to roll with the punches and figure it out.
So thank you guys for joining me and my son talking about real stuff. Since he's an adult now, we can actually talk about real stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, I know sometimes it's hard for you to look at me as an adult every now and then.
I don't want to, because then that makes me older. Just saying. He doesn't understand that piece of it, right? Right, Heather? He doesn't understand that if they get older, well, actually, I don't know how it's happening, but they're getting older, but I'm staying younger. I don't get it, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us at Soundings with Sash and my son. I appreciate it. So you guys take care and peace out.